It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV News. Today, the 22nd of November 2021. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight: BIZWEL MUTALE writes law enforcement wings to investigate PF officials. KABWATA lawmaker put to rest as his death remains a mystery. BOWMAN LUSAMBO challenges the court's decision to nullify the KABUSHI parliamentary seat. And in international news, Sudan's reinstated Prime Minister HAMDOK promises a path to democracy. And in sports news, FIFA young talent referees training commences.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Hello once again, another news in detail. A man of Soweto Market in Lusaka is allegedly fighting running battles with United Party for National Development UPND cadres as they have taken up a political office previously used by Patriotic Front cadres located on his land and have refused to leave. In an interview, Mr. Emmanuel Sumutowe has appealed to the youth leadership in the ruling party to ensure that their cadres live up to the president's call to end cadreism in markets. However, in a phone interview, UPND Deputy Youth Chairman Mr. Trevor Mwinde alleges that those complaining have been sponsored by the former ruling party, adding that the president's directive does not mean party cadres cannot be found within these facilities, as they too own businesses there. More in this report.
The presence of political party cadres in facilities like markets has been a highly contested topic, as these have allegedly caused havoc, including the illegal collection of levies meant for local authorities. With the ushering in of the United Party for National Development Administration, this vice has been discouraged even by the highest office of the Republican president. However, a man of Soweto Market in Lusaka, Mr. Emmanuel Sumutowe, alleges that he is fighting running battles with UPND cadres after they have taken over a political party office located on his land, which was previously used by the Patriotic Front PF.
Office ya market. Vuto mpaka tunaenda mpaka kukanso. Bakanso babauza ya jamalo ni abasimtoa. Manje wewe siwenza kufuna kumvela. Aka palasti tunatenga kaja. Bakanso manuza kansi koma kauletekee makiku no office. Ndiye mama tunapekela makiku office. So still mama kali kufuta bali kamene yaka. Kaili babwela bamba kugulisa ma places ya bene bali. Mama bwe somazo hapa. Benze banaleta muntu kumufaka ku drainage kuja kunja.
He states that he has since repainted the office with hope of chasing the cadres, but to no avail.
After a PF manani mkafaka mgreen, bebe wabwela wakapenta lady, inepauti kalimwanga, rinabwela wakapenta cream ati banana paint. So manje banana paint ya manager ndiye inaleta viongo na paint hapo nje office. But kalimu place mwana. Ndiye comprehend yabe kulo ile na makada zemetuvutana nayo ya menei. Friday tuenze ku office. Kukanso bana bauza bakanso abo president ya mwene wakaisoso ati anatengela kuti mapepa manje mapepa ile tukabalangiza yonse haya siniziba jamani bafuna bebe kusiba pa mapepa ya mena ya banda wakada alibe mpango oziwa mapepa wamenga mapepa anatengela kuti nikan manje kada tobwanja mapepa utangafunze kuti unakuti.
However, UPND Deputy National Youth Chairperson Mr. Trevor Mwinde had a different view of the matter.
Must not use the presidential business. The president has decided that the cadres must not be but there are cadres that are with business. It is where in the attire. And within the there are no first left, which is the I'm waiting for my cabinet. What the people now are doing, those people that were in the PM, they don't want you to the PM. They want to in those offices. When they see the person where you've been, someone is saying, those are occupy them.
For now, the Camnet News will continue to see how the matter unfolds in the administration to ensure that they uphold the rule of law. Zipala, Camnet News, LUSAMBO.
A 44-year-old two children of Kanyama constituency are stranded in Singalore as they have accommodation of food following the suspected murder of her husband, Louis Casco, who died on the 14th of May 2017 by suspected Patriotic Front PF. In an interview with Camnet News, Ms. Bailey has since appealed to the government and wished to come to her and the children's aid in meeting some of their daily needs as they are not capable of doing so.
Political violence in the country has a negative bearing mostly on those who act directly. While it was a crime for a front party to any political party, a 55-year-old man, Nyama compound, electors from the UPND in year 2017, whose life was cut short, leaving behind a wife and 2 children.
Yeah, we just found blood over. They said the brush to UTH. Then what was next was, what can we do? Look for his relatives. We are
Mutinta Berry, age 44, now has a place to call home as she's able to provide shelter and other necessities for 2 children since her husband left. She has since appealed to the government and well-wishers to come to her aid and that of her children, as she and her 2 children will soon be spending life in the court because she has to pay accommodation she copies.
between that was confessing, and at the end we discovered that this man died. So at court they said, let these young men be given defending the government and the body itself. So this man really was supporting the opposition, which is nothing to the government. So we have to release this man, these men that are arrested here. We have to release them, and we proceed to murder. This is man because we were beating. We saw some people joining in. So they had just to say with the session was settled. When we went there, we couldn't see the men. But they were released. They are out. So no papers actually were given for us to know that these people were released. But we just saw them. Somebody pointed. So do you remember that one at court? Then when I looked at one, I said, yes, these are the murderers.
Appealed to the lawmakers to look into the case of her husband's death and seek justice.
Blessings is justice to prevail over this man. Yeah, so that the well-wishers and the government, they can come in, even at large the president himself should look into this one, where somebody has been murdered because he was supporting his party. It's been so difficult. Yeah, especially for the children. Yeah, it has been very, very difficult. Because there's only one sister who has remained in their family, Peg Kasongo. That's the blood sister. So we could just help one another. Maybe she gets the children, they come back. So without her and without me, I don't see a good future for the children.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee in charge of Information and Publicity, Rafa Nakachinda, has alleged that some United Party for National Development UPND members have been paid to push for the lifting of former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. Speaking at a media briefing held in Lusaka Monday, Mr. Nakachinda says some UPND members have clinched a deal with imperialist organizations and are receiving funding from the United Kingdom meant to push the immunity agenda. Mr. Nakachinda has also alleged that some surrogate labor movement leaders have been paid money to start speaking on removing the immunity of the former head of state.
Zambia is a sovereign state. And we are to govern ourselves and apply the law as prescribed by ourselves, the people of Zambia. This business of having foreign elements to dictate to us on how we should govern ourselves and how we should apply our own laws should come to an end. Misaka Ndeichirema, he needs, at least for the first time, to prove to the Zambian people that he is not a puppet of the West. And the visit of Tony Blair did not come here to hatch an agenda which is now beginning to manifest. If Misaka is interested in the fight against corruption, he needs to look into the corruption of and the theft of the Mukula trees that is being cut at will in the northern province. As we speak today, Mukula is moving from Mpolokoso, from Mukula area, passing through roadblocks, escorted by some of the individuals from the security wings.
An investigative officer from the Anti-Corruption Commission has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that former State House Press Aide Amos Chanda's sister-in-law, Ruth Mulenga, instructed 2 female SEC officers to walk backward with closed eyes while entering a particular room in Woodlands at one of Mr. Chanda's properties during an investigation. Lom Tunzi Billy, 34, told Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Dominic Makalachi that Ms. Mulenga also asked her and the other female officer to gather all their strength before they entered the bedroom where they needed to conduct a search, as no one can access part of its apart from its owner. This is in a matter in which former State House Press Aide Amos Chanda, his wife and sister-in-law are accused of using insulting language and obstructing SEC officers. More in the following report.
On Monday, the Magistrate Court in Lusaka heard a 4-hour testimony from an Anti-Corruption Commission female investigative officer who testified how she and her colleague were instructed to enter a bedroom while moving backward with eyes closed at one of the properties in Woodlands area believed to belong to Mr. Amos Chanda. Testifying in a case where former State House Press Aide Amos Chanda, his wife Mabel Chanda and sister-in-law Ruth Mulenga facing a charge of using insulting language and obstructing SEC officers, Lomutuzi Billy testified that on the 27th of October 2021, when SEC officers went to conduct a search in Woodlands at a property believed to belong to Mr. Chanda, they were showered and baptized with insults. The witness testified that when they commenced conducting a search on a house that is alleged to belong to a Brenda Nakaunga, Mabel Chanda and Ruth Mulenga denied them entry in one of the bedrooms, but when SEC male officers used reasonable force to open the door, they were told that only female officers could enter the said room. The witness narrated before court that before she could enter the said room, she was told by one of the accused, Ruth Mulenga, that she needed to gather all her strength. The witness said the statement made her body chilled as she wondered what would make anyone to tell her to gather all her strength before entering a room. She said she was gripped with fear when she was told that she needed to enter the room backward if she was to conduct a search, but she had no option than to continue with her duty. As the highly restrictive search began, as described by the witness, the SEC female investigative officer said the accused number 3, Ruth Mulenga, spit saliva on everything they touched in that room as she continued showering them with insults while giving them command on where to search. Earlier, the witness had testified that Amos Chanda's sister-in-law passed a comment that no one enters the said room as the owner does not allow anyone to enter that room. Meanwhile, after the witness concluded with her testimony, the defense made an application if the case was properly before court, as all the complainants, including prosecutors, were from the SEC. Chief Resident Magistrate Dominic Makalachi has since reserved ruling to the 13th of December 2021. Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Patriotic Front member of the Mobilization Committee, BIZWEL MUTALE, has written to some law enforcement agencies to officially request for investigations into all Patriotic Front members, especially those that served at government level and their allies. Mr. MUTALE says this is part of the rebranding process that the party should undergo in readiness for 2026. He notes that the members of the public have continuously come out in accusing the Patriotic Front Party of former government ministers, officials and party officials of being a party and a government of wrongdoing, hence his decision to ask investigative wings to begin a lifestyle audit. Mr. MUTALE has since written and successfully delivered letters to the Office of the Auditor General, the Drug Enforcement Commission and the Anti-Corruption Commission.
That have been happening in Patriotic Front. I have brought them before the President of the Republic of Zambia, then President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, now our PF President. I have brought it before him. I have raised concerns. I have raised the concerns to relevant authority within the party. I served as a National Mobilization Committee member. I have made sure that the message I preach to the people do coincide with the manifest of the Patriotic Front. Today I come to confirm the letters have been sent. The Auditor General, the letter has been delivered and they have confirmed that the letter has been received. Anti-Corruption Commissioner, they have confirmed that the letter has been received. Drug Enforcement Commission, the letter has been delivered and they have confirmed that the letter has been received. Zambia Revenue Authority, they have confirmed that the letter has been received. PF Secretariat, to the Deputy Secretary General, the letter has been delivered and he confirmed receipt of the letter. The letter has also been sent to our party president, His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu.
A retired police officer of Lusaka West has called on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources under the new administration to take keen interest in alleged land illegalities that have been happening in the area in the previous administration. In an interview, Mr. Jackson Chama has alleged that named senior police officials illegally grabbed over 100 hectares of land from citizens when they had already been given a go-ahead by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. He has since reported the matter to the Zambia Police, calling on Inspector General Lemi Kajoba to look into the matter, stating that the same was reported under the previous administration, but nothing has been done to date. More in the following report.
A retired police officer has written to the Inspector General of Police Lemi Kajoba over alleged land grabbing behind Lusaka West Paramilitary Camp by senior police officials during the previous administration. In an interview, Mr. Jackson Chama alleges that named senior police officials in the previous administration allocated themselves over 100 hectares out of the 240 hectares that the camp sits on at the expense of residents who had already been given a go-ahead by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources.
I'm here to deliver letters to the current Inspector General of Police because the issue at hand has been reported to the former Police Inspector General of Police, who directed the Intelligence Office to deal with this case, but it has failed. So before I report it to these other wings for investigation, I want to deliver this letter to the current Inspector General of Police.
He has called on the new administration to ensure that all land illegally obtained is reallocated to its rightful owners, stating that the situation has gone out of hand.
In 2018, 12 years after we had made an application, plus, the senior police officers hijacked our application and put their names on that application, and they applied to the Ministry of Lands, even changed the size of the land. These people each has gotten more than 10 acres of land instead of the initial 5 that the ministry allowed. The 37.5 hectares which had remained, we also said as individuals who've been staying here, we apply for it. We called an accredited surveyor who did the demarcations into 30 by 30, 40 by 40 lots. But the police has denied us. When we made the applications through Chilanga Council, the council secretary decided to deny our application without following the land alienation procedure, because she did not send a survey team of his team under the district to come and do that. But when we threatened her with a letter on 30th September, after she had denied, she now dispatched a team to come and check on it. And from that time to date, we have not heard anything from Chilanga Council.
However, when contacted, Chilanga Town Planner Mr. Mulenga Mwamba declined to comment, directing the matter to the Public Relations Office. By broadcast time, he had, however, still not sent the contact of the PR officer. Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Mr. Elijah Muchima recently constituted a team to investigate land illegalities in Zambia within a period of 10 days, a time frame which elapses in 3 days. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Kabushi constituency member of Parliament BOWMAN LUSAMBO has appealed to the Constitutional Court against a decision by the Ndola High Court to nullify his parliamentary seat. In a notice of appeal filed in the Constitutional Court Registry in Lusaka, Mr. LUSAMBO, who is also former Lusaka Province Minister, has appealed against the whole judgment delivered by Ndola High Court Judge Edward Musona on Friday last week. More in this report.
3 days after nullifying his KABUSHI parliamentary seat by the Ndola High Court citing electoral malpractices, Mr. BOWMAN LUSAMBO has appealed against this ruling before the Constitutional Court. Mr. LUSAMBO, in his notice of appeal filed before the Constitutional Court Registry, has argued that the judge erred in law when he held that the reported violence in 4 out of 8 wards amounted to widespread violence, while acknowledging that Mr. LUSAMBO may also have been present at 2 occasions where violence was alleged to have been perpetrated. He has also argued that the court erred in law when it shifted the burden of proof to him when he held that the failure to show that he attempted to stop the violence meant that he acknowledged the violence. Mr. LUSAMBO's elections were petitioned by losing UPND candidate Bernard Kanengo. On Friday, Judge Edward Musona, before nullifying the seat, wrote that he was satisfied that Mr. LUSAMBO had knowledge of violence, stating that Mr. LUSAMBO's defense that he was not in Ndola when the violence episodes were recorded could not be supported. Last week Friday, Mr. LUSAMBO told journalists that he respected the judiciary shortly after the court nullified his elections.
And I can assure you that as we go, there are other lessons which we learn, and we have learned something, both from our political opponents and also from the judiciary. But I can assure you that as a law-abiding citizen, I respect the judiciary. I know exactly the importance of the judiciary in our country. So we have learned a lot.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former KABWATA Member of Parliament Levi Mkandawire, who died in an accident last week, has been put to rest at Lusaka's Memorial Park with a call by the family members for the police to thoroughly investigate the death of their relative. President Hakainde Hichilema, who addressed the mourners at the Memorial Park, has described the late Mr. Mkandawire as someone who was committed to contribute to the success of UPND, especially when others were leaving the party due to lack of foresight. President Hichilema urged the family and the UPND members to remain strong and accept the tragedy, saying the loss of Mr. Mkandawire is not only for his family, but the entire residents of KABWATA constituency. Mr. Mkandawire is survived by a wife and 4 children.
Born on May 5, 1961 and died on November 18, 2021 at the age of 60, KABWATA Member of Parliament Honorable Levi Mkandawire has been put to rest. Mr. Mkandawire's burial was preceded by a church service at Mary Immaculate Catholic Church, where hundreds of mourners gathered in paying their last respect to the late Member of Parliament. The funeral service was attended by a cross-section of people who were drawn from the political arena, government, civic leaders, members of Parliament, family, friends, and church members. His gap will be felt by the family who remembers him as a loving husband, father, and supportive family member.
His death has left a shock, and the family is completely numb. We cannot believe what has happened and what has happened in his life. We trust the authorities to undertake that.
That didn't even make sense to me. But for sure you did your work, and I will forever be grateful. Rest your dad, and may your soul rest in eternal peace.
We are so very honored and blessed to being your children, and we wish you a safe journey into the heavens. We hope to meet again someday and catch up.
To the wife, this is the heavy burden that she has to bear while raising her children.
May they receive you. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for even this time. I want to appreciate that you are mighty. I want to appreciate that you are God over my husband's life. I want to say thank you even for the time that I had with him on this earth, for giving me 4 beautiful children. That I promise that whatever assignment you gave me, I'll try my best to perform it. Go well, my husband.
Other government officials gave their messages.
National Management Committee and several other portfolios in the UPND. So this was a great leader, very humble leader, a family man. And so it's a very hurtful time for all of us as a nation.
And President Hakainde Hichilema, who attended the burial ceremony at Lusaka's Leopards Hill Memorial Park, says the death of the late is a rare death that raises a lot of suspicions.
At their own house, at their own gate, you feel vulnerable out there, but not in your heart. But unfortunately, our brother met his death right at his house, which is a very, very rare type of death that he died. And we do believe that the law enforcement agencies don't need our instruction, don't need the presidential hand, don't need a political hand for them to do a professional job so that we can understand the circumstances.
The president adds that the law enforcement agencies need not to be instructed to investigate the death of Mr. Mkandawire so as to settle all suspicions surrounding his accidental death at his residence.
That's what our duty is. And to simply say to all mourners that are here, we are grateful that you rendered support to the family, to the UPND police across town of Lusaka, city of Lusaka, and our last partners. We thank you for your generosity in many ways, obviously parliamentary.
Mr. Mkandawire met his fate last Friday when a BMW registration number ALM 5955 driven by a Jane Mwale lost control and rammed into his stationed IST registration number ALM 2038, leading to his subsequent demise. Mr. Mkandawire is survived with a wife and 4 children, 3 female and a male. May his soul rest in peace. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
Traders at Saturday Market in Chipata District, Eastern Province, have vowed to continue vending despite the 7-day ultimatum in which they need to vacate the street, which is coming to an end. Those interviewed by Camnet TV News say they are ready to face law enforcement wings, saying no amount of force will compel them to leave the street. The marketeers justify that there is no proper shelter and sanitation in the market, adding that it cannot accommodate everyone. More in this report.
The issue of street vending is not new to Zambia, as most parts of the country face this challenge. According to the law, street vending is illegal and is a violation of the Public Health Act, Cap 295 of the Local Government Act No. 2 of the laws of Zambia. Eastern Province Chipata District is no exception to street vending. Last week, the Chipata City Council issued a 7-day ultimatum for all traders along Umozi Highway and outside Saturday Market to vacate the street, but the traders have vowed to disregard the directive.
BOWMAN, ituone botika, ngati sawa na botika. Sasa sitizachoka, bana sitizachoka. Ora kutafuna futi branch sitizachoka.
Those interviewed by Camnet TV News say they are ready to face law enforcement wings, saying no amount of force will compel them to leave the streets. The marketeers justify that there is no proper shelter and sanitation in the market, adding that it cannot accommodate everyone.
Saturday market vantu vokala inikula market koma shofuta market ni ngono pale panga ngale vantu so tikomistaka konza market so ngati vakonza market vantu vazalo lamulo liko nga mwili ngatakambe kwa vantu lo but market ni ngono sasa watu wanalipanga so kana kwa
Chipata City Council Public Relations Manager Charity Mutonga has advised traders to uphold the directive to get off the street by 23rd November 2021.
This time around, we've got the backing of various other offices, including the office of the provincial minister, and the DC has also come on board. Everybody else is working in line with moving them out of the streets. So we are just reminding them that as of tomorrow, Tuesday, everybody is going to should be out of the streets. If they do not follow through with the notice that was given, then we will be forced to get them out ourselves. Why we give them notices so that they should do it at their own pace. In an amicable manner, they move out. But if they're going to wait and try to see more like provoke the council or dare the council to see what's going to happen next, we're just going to say, let's wait for the expiration of the grace period, which is tomorrow.
What is the way forward on this matter? As traders vow to defy the directive, only time will tell. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Zambia Medical Association has called on the Ministry of Health to enhance human health in the medical field, as evidenced from the fatalities being recorded, among them the death of medical personnel due to COVID-19. Addressing the media Monday, Association President Dr. Crispin Moyo regrets that about 27 doctors have died from the pandemic. Meanwhile, Dr. Moyo calls on the new permanent secretaries in the Ministry of Health to reduce the number of directorate departments from 18 to 7.
Good health is central to human happiness and well-being that contributes significantly to prosperity, wealth and economic progress, as healthy populations are more productive, serve more and live longer. Monday, 22nd November 2021, the Zambia Medical Association held a press conference outlining a number of issues in the health sector. Association President Dr. Crispin Moyo regrets that about 27 doctors have died from the COVID-19 pandemic, as he called for improved human resource in the wake of the pending fourth wave. Meanwhile, Dr. Moyo calls on the new permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health to reduce the number of directorate departments from 18 to 7. He notes with concern that the 2022 national budget allocation is not adequate as it falls short of the Abuja Declaration, which demands 15% budget allocation to the health sector. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Council for Social Development has charged that full participation of citizens, among them the marginalized, in the national budget formulation is essential for national development. ZCSD Chairperson Mahamba Chiputa notes that the majority of citizens lack information and skills on this process, which he says must change. Mr. Chiputa adds that the national budget contains estimates of the country's expenditure which affect the general citizenry, hence the need for the public to take keen interest in its formulation and process. Mr. Chiputa was speaking at a media engagement meeting for the 2022 national budget in Lusaka Monday. Meanwhile, Minister of Information and Media Chushi Kasanda says the media plays an important role in communicating important budgetary information to the public as well as keeping government accountable.
Ensuring participation of citizens, especially the marginalized, in developmental processes, including the national budget formulation processes, is an important aspect in national development. However, most citizens have lagged behind, partly due to limited levels of interest, knowledge, and skills among local communities to influence budgeting processes and other developmental initiatives.
For this to happen, people need to be empowered with information on the budget. This will not only enhance the participation in the planning and budgeting processes, but also promote transparency and accountability in utilization of public funds. This is why I commend Zambia Council for Social Development and its partners for organizing this meeting to orient the media on budgeting with particular focus on the National Planning and Budgeting Act No. 1 of 2020.
You're watching Camnet TV and not just another channel. We'll take a break. I'll be back with more news after the break.
This is the Rusitu Irrigation Project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Lusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator, and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Lusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom? Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zantel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The non-governmental gender organization Coordinating Council NGOCC has called for the implementation of the Gender-Based Violence Funds as espoused in the Gender Equity and Equality Act No. 22 of 2015. NGOCC Coordinator Institutional Strengthening and Policy Mendai Imasiko says the Gender Equity and Equality Act has a provision that mandates the government to set up a GBV fund meant to help vulnerable men and women who have been afflicted by GBV. Mr. Imasiko says the establishment of the fund will allow victims of gender-based violence have resources to fight their battles and give them a fresh start. More in this report.
The 2021 third quarter gender-based violence cases statistics indicated that a total of 4,042 cases of gender-based violence were reported countrywide during the said period. Sufficing to say, many women and children have been reported to be the main victims of GBV. Camnet TV crew has in the past reported some cases of GBV that demanded the attention of stakeholders.
So nishaona napanda pesa waitsika wewe mwana kashino kuimatika shirikeni mumye mkashonte tare mkonka pana fuvata video kungu makungu so fasa bula kabola kaputi kono kusandisa kumunzi apeze kabafuna mkazi wa mubao yo milenzo kondo bwa utapamanzi pametenzo nkani so manje niwenzo chitani kanyamura bucket siwenzo funa uti nikasitoka munyumba pa wenzo funa chepe nikasitoma che munyumba socha nikatoka munyumba nishibaza boni menyonzo bo wazwando chitachani sinifuna kuti tukasiteza na wakazi wanza.
The non-governmental gender organization Coordinating Council NGOCC says the increase in the number of reported cases of GBV means that people are now more aware of the importance of reporting such cases. NGOCC Institutional Strengthening and Policy Coordinator Mendai Imasiko now says government should consider establishing the Gender-Based Violence Fund as espoused in the Gender Equity and Equality Act.
The Gender Equity and Equality Act, it does have a provision where government is supposed to set up a GBV fund. It's just a pity that this GBV fund hasn't been actualized. And the whole purpose of the GBV fund, which is supposed to be set up with the coming on board of the GEA, the Gender Equity and Equality Act, it was meant to help, for example, women or other vulnerable people who would need support because of being afflicted by GBV. So that is an area where there's still a gap.
She says the establishing of the fund will allow victims of GBV have resources to help them fight the abuse and give them a second chance to life.
So that once that GBV fund is in place, it will be able to enable, for example, one of the issues that is there with GBV funds is that people are unable to go to the courts of law as witnesses because of the costs associated. So as a result, certain cases, they fall out. Even people that are in abusive situations like that, it should be there to support them, to also find a way for them to start up a life in a very safe environment. So in the absence of the GBV fund being initiated by the government, the initiatives that are coming from NGOs and CSOs, they are so small because of our little resources, and we're unable to take care of the huge demand that is there.
For now, we will wait and see how government intends to tackle matters concerning GBV in the country. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. A non-governmental organization based in Lusaka, known as the Future Foundation, has attributed the failure to find a lasting solution to drug and substance abuse in Chiwolia compound to the same approach of sensitization. In an interview, organization founder Mr. Clinton Gando says Chiwolia, like many other areas, have different challenges which need a different approach to tackle them. He has since appealed to the international community to come on board and help in providing funds to see sanity restored in this place.
Chiwolia, we have got three categories of people. We have got the children, those like street kids. Some of them are orphans. Some of them were chased from home. Those people, they need also the social activity or maybe the social attention because they need to be taken back to school. They need also some issue of like parental care. So there are institutions like maybe NGOs, institutions like orphanage, which can attend to them. Then the other category is the unemployed youths. Those unemployed youths, they need the resources in terms of for them to be in business, for them to be in job, employment maybe. For them, we need a lot of capacity building. And when we talk of capacity building, they need to understand the business process. They need to have access to technology. They also need to have like a social group which exposes them to innovations. And after them being exposed to certain innovations, it will help them to understand the business processes because they are ready to be entrepreneurs. And the other category of those maybe people who are masterminds, who are providing market of whatever we may call like drugs, phones, whatever stolen things, I'm sure those can be handled by the relevant authorities like the police.
The Board of Directors of the Zambia Airways has announced that the local airline will officially commence its initial operations on 1st December 2021. According to a statement made available to Camnet TV, the airline will commence its operations on domestic destinations from Lusaka to Livingstone in Southern Province and Ndola on the Copper Belt. The statement has further revealed that the airline will, within the first quarter of 2022, introduce additional domestic routes to Mfue and Solwezi and regional destinations such as Johannesburg, South Africa and Harare, Zimbabwe. The airline also seeks to ensure that traveling is made affordable to the public with competitive pricing. You're watching Camnet TV News. We'll take another break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Infirmity never had a legal right in here anymore because she was healed in her soul. He also took care of that accusation in the court where he said, I loose you, and that means to acquit someone of a crime.
Why does he say, be strong and be courageous, MUTALE? Number one, you've got to be strong. You've got to be courageous when claiming the things that belong to you.
If you're up against principalities and powers,
en contra de
and Satan
principados,
is knocking you around,
y el enemigo te está dando contra ti,
put praise on in your car.
pon alabanza.
Put praise on.
So we must learn to depend on the Holy Spirit to tell us what these things are and what's the next thing and what the church ought to be doing rather than conform to everything that is going on.
He says you're blessed. He says flesh and blood
has not revealed this to you, but my Father.
He will preach the gospel with great power and influence, I say, even to the nations of the earth. And I began to prophesy his destiny. As I did that, the Spirit of the Lord said, now rebuke the spirit of depression.
The mystery of your unfulfilled prophecy is found in what I'm saying today, if you hear what the Spirit is saying, because the King is speaking.
That everything that God has given you will flourish because you have his mind like never before, in Jesus' mighty precious name.
On Monday, 22nd November 2021, on National Matters, join Dr. Lubinda Hawazoka as the host, Honorable Garin Kombo, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Make sure kuti bamene babwera kumulipirisani ni bakukanso. Ndiye chape chamene nfuna kuti tichenjezani hapo. Bamene babwera kulipirisa bayonekera onkala na receipt, genuine receipt ya kukanso.
At exactly 20:45 hours, as they discuss the new dawn, economic decentralization, and the rule of law.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a date with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and in international news, it has been nearly a month since the military seized power in Sudan, dissolving the interim government and declaring a state of emergency. However, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has now agreed to restore the planned transition to civilian rule by reinstating deposed leader Abdallah Hamdok as prime minister. But it remains unclear exactly how much power the reinstated government will hold. The country's main opposition coalition says it will not recognize any agreement that shares power with the armed forces. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
A breakthrough in Sudan's political crisis, nearly a month after a military takeover and the dissolution of the transitional government. On Sunday, military leader General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and deposed Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok signed an agreement that paved the way for Hamdok to be reinstated.
As I signed this document, I am guided by 4 basic principles. 1, we must put an end to bloodshed. I know our people are capable of sacrificing. However, each drop of blood is precious. Let's put an end to the bloodbath and let's spare each and every drop of blood.
The agreement comes after weeks of negotiations between the two sides, mediated by Sudanese political figures. It calls for the release of political prisoners, including senior officials, who were arrested.
Paul Nyak says he hasn't seen floods this bad since the 1960s, when he was a boy. Floodwaters have destroyed crops, blocked access to fields, and reduced grazing land. The 56-year-old says at least there is an upside to the devastation. More water than usual means plenty more fish is available.
It's good for us. Sometimes United Nations takes long to bring us food. This way, we can survive until they can reach families cut off by the water.
Much of this agricultural land is now underwater. For the 3rd consecutive year, floodwaters have risen as excess water flows down the Nile from neighboring countries. But families can't survive on just fish. Malnutrition rates are increasing as flooding affects food supplies.
All animals that we depend on, they are dying because of the flood. All our houses, they are under the water in the town, and this is very difficult. Also, we get the disease through the flood.
Communities used to grow sorghum, a cereal that is easy to cultivate. But there has been no farming here for more than 2 years. Humanitarian aid has also been affected.
This used to be our food distribution point, where we were distributing food to over 27,000 people here in Old Fangak with the support from the World Food Program. But now, because of the flooding, we are now unable to utilize this location.
Some desperate families collect water lilies to supplement their diet. The dried flowers from the lilies are ground into small amounts of cereal. It's not nutritious, but there aren't many options out here. Fish is an essential source of protein when there isn't much else available. South Sudan is no stranger to floods, but they're now becoming more frequent. Too much water, COVID-19, poverty and conflict make the situation here dire. People say they'll have to find ways to adapt. Preserving their catch is one way to keep food longer. In fact, small-scale industries of sun-drying the fish have boomed because of the floods. But everywhere...
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, the Football Association of Zambia today officiated at the FIFA Young Talent Referees to be presided by Ali Ahmed in Lusaka, a training that will last a week. Speaking during the launch, First Secretary General Adrian Kashala says that the few selected men and women must be neutral and without bearing of any particular club as they execute the refereeing duties in different games. Kashala has encouraged participants not to be influenced by anything tempting, but chase the career they have chosen with passion and not with the agenda of getting resources.
In a particular game. But I think that should be a thing of the past. And we are looking at a situation where such deliberate omissions should not occur at any given time. We are looking at you as fair people standing right in the middle of the pitch to dictate the flow of the game and not to dictate the results of that particular engagement. And I want to emphasize that particular point. You are going there as neutral as you are without bearing a particular club in mind, without maybe a motivated decision to influence the outcome of the game. I think that is going to cause our game not to develop. Remember that we have people that have passion to develop the game by way of coming up with teams, and they spend quite a lot. And even as they do spend that money, they need to get the value out of us. So our word to you is to ensure that football is developed, your officiating on the field of play is not influenced by anything. And I am made to believe that we sit at Football House to defend most of the issues that come on your behalf. But should you be found wanting, we are not going to defend you in any way.
That story brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, we'll take a look at the stories making headlines once again. BIZWEL MUTALE writes law enforcement wings to investigate PF officials. KABWATA lawmaker put to rest as his death remains a mystery. BOWMAN LUSAMBO challenges the court's decision to nullify the KABUSHI parliamentary seat. In international news, Sudan's reinstated Prime Minister HAMDOK promises a path to democracy. And in sports news, FIFA Young Talent Referees training commences. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from Psalms 91, verse 2 to 3. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. He himself will deliver you from the hunter's net, from the destructive plague. Thank you for watching Camnet TV News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.